Hello everyone, and welcome back to Paper Peony. I'm Kimberly Jones and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up. I posted 6 or 7 pictures of beach cards just recently because this is spring break coming up, and so I was kind of beach inspired to do beachy cards. And so a lot of you had asked me how I did this faux sea glass. And so I'm really excited to show you just how simple this technique is. And I'm going to show you also, this is actually real sand that I put on this card. I actually was playing with textures when I did this. I also think that this faux sea glass would be a really cool concept, like around a frame. So keep that in mind also as you're doing your creativity. And after learning this technique, I would love to see that you post some pictures doing different things with it, because I would really like to see what you come up with. So I will show you. We have several different beach sets, and I'm really wanting to play with these because come the end of April, our retirement list comes out, or a lot of our stuff that's in our annual catalog will be retired, and we can no longer use them as demonstrators. So Seaside Bay happens to be one that came from the mini last year and made it into the annual book. And I love this bundle. It was a beautiful suite when it came out. It had different embellishments, different papers. And I'm afraid that it's going to retire on me. And so I really wanted to use this while I could. So I have got, this is the stamp set, and I'm using the sandpiper on this card. And then obviously the die to cut him out. So this is the matching dies. Then I also used the Stylish Shapes dies to cut out my circle for the centerpiece to this card. And last but not least, I used the Waves of Inspiration stamp set to use Your Strength as an Inspiration as my sentiment on this card. And my son just came in. He is 12 and very independent. He was being super nice. Say hello.
Hey.
Super nice to bring me homemade guacamole. He made guacamole for me. Thank you, honey. Okay, so continuing on. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the crumb cake, and I cut it 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so that's going to be our base to play with. This is our canvas to work on. And I'm bringing in my Stampin' Up glass mat because I'm going to get sand and glue and everything on my workspace, and I just really don't want to have it on my table. Okay, so here is what we're going to do first. We're going to do our strip of sand, okay? And what I did is I used our adhesive sheets, okay? And I just used a little bit of what I would need, because when you peel this up, it's going to be super, super sticky, okay? So for the sake of not getting it on your surface, I would suggest peeling off one of these sides, because it is double-sided. Lift your piece up off the table, position it where you want it, like that. Press it down, flip it over, and then use some scissors that you're not crazy about to cut that excess off, like so. Now, some of you may recognize these scissors. These were our ribbon scissors when we had them, and they were very expensive. But when my husband was alive, he used these and cut a box open from UPS, even though I had a ribbon sticking off the handle showing that it was ribbon scissors only, and they've never been the same since. So now they have gone to trash scissors, believe it or not. Okay, so now you're going to come in and you're going to peel this off, okay? So it's going to flip up for you, and it's going to you're going to see the sticky residue on here. And so when you see that, you're going to know you're doing it right, okay? See how it's looking real sticky and slippery right there? So peel that off, all the way off. Now, when I do projects with embossing powder, glitter, beads, embellishments, I use coffee filters for the excess. Rather than shake them back into the container, I just use, if I know I'm going to use it for consistent projects, I just use coffee filters because it's very easy to bend them and then pour them back into your bottles or containers. So this is how I store, and they stack on top of one another. So if you're using a lot of glitters, or beads on different projects, you can just stack them on top of one another, and it takes away the bulk of your embellishments. Okay, so when you get the glue on there, then I just bring this in and just shake the sand along that sticky part. And it confines my mess, if that makes sense. So I'm not getting sand everywhere, or trying not to. Now this is a very coarse sand. I bought this from Hobby Lobby. I strongly encourage that the finer the sand, the better, because it's going to stick better for you. And keep that in mind. This is very coarse. And so you're going to have to shake some off and stick it on and just kind of play with it and make sure all of your sticky spots are taken care of. So there is my strip of sand, and I'm kind of just getting this off. And then I'm going to rub across it just like that to kind of get that excess that didn't stick. Because I don't want sand to come off of my card a month from now. So just kind of go like that. Now, if you have a spray, not Mod Podge, but kind of like a spray, not spray adhesive, but spray matte, you know, like when you spray something to keep it not, I guess to seal your images and stuff. You could probably do that with this. I didn't, but you could probably put some kind of sealant on this sand to keep it from flaking. But for the most part, this is not really flaking off since it's been done, okay? And it's been setting for a while, this card. So the older the card, the better it's gonna be for the sand to stay on there. Okay, so after you get your sand on there, then you can move your sand thing away. And see, I don't have sand on my table for doing it that way. Okay, so now I mounted that sand image from the Seaside Bay, and I'm using crumb cake, so it's tone on tone. And I'm coming in and I'm just stamping around the corners to kind of give a little softer sand image around the whole entire front of the card. So I'm just gonna go corner to corner and just kind of move my stamp around so it looks, you know, more realistic. You don't want the same images everywhere. Okay, and that's how I have it like that. And then I took a blender brush and kind of run it across some crumb cake and just kind of went around the edges and kind of softened those edges a little bit. Kind of give it more depth. Okay. Now this piece is ready to adhere to our Starry Night. And Starry Night is going to be cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and it's going to be scored at 4 1/4. Okay, so I'm bringing out my cutting blade. I'm going to cut it at 5.5. This is 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Let me get this crumb cake out of the way. Okay, and then you're going to score it at 4 1/4. Now my blade has come off of my cutting tool, and I'm gonna have to order some more scoring blades. But so I'm bringing in my oldie but goodie scoring board and scoring this at 4 1/4. Four and a quarter. There you go. Okay, so once you get this scored at 4 1/4, then you just fold it and use your bone folder to give that sharp edge or sharp fold. I always love using a bone folder, and the reason why is because if someone gets your card, it can easily stand up without falling down when it's creased efficiently. Okay, so all right, so now we're just ready to glue this backing or our backdrop down. I'm using Tombow glue because in case I don't get it where I want it, I can position it where I want it. You want it centered onto the front of the card. If you're doing it just like mine. I always tell people, it is your card, it is your creation, so make it you. So, okay, so there's that. Now for the fun part, I'm going to show you how I came across this, or how I actually created this faux sea glass. I knew I wanted sea glass on my card. I just played with it and then I got it right. So I came up with 5 different colors of our cardstock, and it happens to be Balmy Blue, Coastal Cabana, Starry Night, Tahitian Tide, and Lemon Lime Twist. And I cut these in strips, different widths, because obviously some are wider than others. Okay, and then after I got all of those cardstocks cut, let's just assume, let me just cut a strip here of this green, okay? And what I did is I just came in and I just cut, just go around and just make imperfect cuts all the way down your strip. That's all I did. And then some of these, you go back and you just kind of like go in and kind of like cut a curve out of, you know, because when sea glass is in water for so long, or in the ocean, it kind of warps. And so I just did some warped pieces also, and I did this with all of my colors. And I cut up enough that I'm left with quite a bit left over. So if you do this, then you can continuously do more projects just from that time that you spent cutting those strips of paper, okay? So, because it lasts a long time, okay? So, anyway, come through here and just put your glue dots down if you want to make it a faster process. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to want to come through here and pop dot some of these, okay? So, but for the most part, we're just going to go in and we're just going to glue these down. And do your bigger pieces first. That's always the best thing, or best strategy. Okay, and I'm just going to come in here and just do, shimmy that up a little bit to cover that glue, because I don't want glue stains. Okay, and then come up here and you can do this one right there. And you want to spread your colors around, so you don't want all the same colors everywhere. So I'm going to want, let's do this little piece right here. And probably the smart thing to do is do this with tweezers, because then you don't get your hands all glued up. And you just glue these down in different angles. And for the sake of this video, I'm gluing bigger pieces than my original, just because I want to be able to get, I don't want to be on the video for so long that y'all get bored with it. But you're just going to go through here and you're just going to glue them all down. And you're probably thinking, oh, this doesn't look anything like your original, but just wait, because it's layer upon layer. Okay, so let's do, I'm trying to figure out, oh, turquoise needs to go right here. Okay, and let's put another turquoise right there. And we can do this one like up in an angle. Like that. Okay, now, and y'all are seeing, there we go. Okay, now you're ready to come in and with pop dots or with dimensionals, stick some with the mini dimensionals. You're going to want the mini ones. And you're just going to pick and choose your colors and where you want your colors to go. I really love the lime green being on top because it just really pops off the blues. So let's pop dot one right there. And then let's pop dot, let's do a little triangular turquoise. Okay. And let's put him right there on top of that. Preferably not with the pop dot showing. There we go. Okay. And then let's pop dot one right here. And I'm just going to put a pop dot right there. And then bring in a color. And let's do let's think about this. What color? I think the turquoise maybe. Okay, and then we're gonna do another one. We'll do one right there, and then another one right there. Okay, and let's go ahead and take those sticky backs off. And we're gonna bring in the balmy blue, and we'll bring in let's see. Oh, let's do this funky shape starry night. Okay. And then that is how that came about. Okay. And you can do as many or as little as you want. Okay. But the best part about it, to give it that realistic glass look, is the last thing you want to do, because it has to sit and dry once it's done. Okay. So let's do the sandpiper. And the sandpiper is that largest stylish shaped circle die, okay? And doesn't matter what size you use. I use my blender brush for the blue, and I'm using Pool Party for my sky. You're just gonna come in and just kind of saturate that brush with a lot of ink. Kind of ink off before you come into your circle, and just kind of go around that top part of that circle. And do as much ink as you want to get the color that you want. Okay. And then you're going to come in and do the same with the crumb cake on the bottom. You're giving the sandpiper a beach. Okay, so come in and ink that bottom. Okay, and then come in with that same sand stamp and just stamp the bottom to give it texture. Now, I know that in some of my videos, I've talked about blends versus markers, and that I was going to show you some differences and why they're both beneficial. Here is my sandpiper, and it's mounted on a block. This only will work with rubber stamps, okay, this technique. So bear with me on that. So now that I have my sandpiper, I already have one die cut out and done. So, but I'm going to show you how I got this look, okay? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take markers. Now, there's blends, which are alcohol-based. They're more squared off, as you can see. Okay, those are alcohol markers, and they're good for coloring and blending and making it look an in-depth coloring technique. Okay, but markers have its own benefits, okay? And these are water-based. And what that means is you can color on your stamps directly and have a two-tone stamped image just by doing it that way. Okay, so I use Starry Night for my bird, and then I use the crumb cake for his legs. So here's what we are going to do. We're going to use the brush side because it's a big, large piece that I'm stamping or coloring. And I'm just going to go down and color my sandpiper. Okay, and getting him all nice and inked. And then same with the crumb cake. You're just going to come down off of his legs and his feet and coloring it with that crumb cake color. And then because sometimes it takes a while to color stamped images, you want to huff on this so your inks come alive again, okay? So you're just going to ink, you're just going to breathe on that. And I'm trying to find a piece of scrap paper to show you what's going to happen here. Okay, then you're going to come in and you're just going to stamp this off. And you're left with that look. So see, now you have your two-tone bird. So markers do have their benefits, and this happens to be one of them. Besides writing and journaling with them, you can also do this with your rubber stamps. So I already did that for the sake of the video, and I cut him out. And so now he's ready just to pop dot onto this circle die. So let me get some dimensionals on this little piper. And then you're just going to pop him onto this little circle. And then you're going to pop the circle onto the card front. I use my scraps on these dimensionals, so I get all of my dimensionals off of my sheet. So don't think you just have to use the hive pieces. You can use all of it and get your money's worth on it, okay? So I just kind of position this right here. Now, because I went a little bit lower on this one than up here on this one, I'm going to kind of come down a little bit lower on this so I see more of the sea glass image, okay? Now, remember I said these retired, okay? So for the sake that we don't have those anymore, you can always come in and cut some more of these little pieces. Okay, and let's do one of the little starry knots. There we go. Come in and just glue these down on the corner. And then I'm going to take my pick tool to glue these down so they are easier to position on here. Okay. Okay, so we use that on this one. Okay, and then we're going to take that saying from Waves of Inspiration, your strength is an inspiration. You're going to stamp it on a piece of crumb cake. And I used Night of Navy on this, believe it or not, and it does come across as looking like the Starry Night. But I did do Night of Navy because I just did not want it to blend too much into my card. And I stamped that onto the crumb cake. And it didn't matter that it was straight or not because I'm going to cut it out. And I'm just going to go around the words as close to the words as possible. Okay. And then when you have that, then I took my blender brush with the crumb cake and just kind of inked around that to kind of soften those edges or give some detail to those edges because I wanted my sentiment to pop off of my card. So you just want to kind of ink it around the edges a little bit. And then I use dimensionals as well to pop the sentiment off of the card. Okay, so let's do that quick. And then what's left is pretty much doing the fun part. Okay, so now we have our cinnamon on there. So now the trick is in this little bottle right here. It's our Stampin' Up! Fine Tip glue pen. Okay, and you want to keep this cap on here when you're not using it because if you leave it off, it will dry up the whole entire bottle and then you will not be able to get the glue back out. Okay, so it's highly important that you keep that needle in when you're not using it. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to come in and you're going to just glaze each one of these pieces of cardstock and just kind of sweep over them. And you don't have to just, go all the way from point to point. You're just going to put a little bit of glaze on each piece. Okay, and because I used the cardstock down here to mimic the sea glass, you want to color those in as well. And when this dries, it is going to look like my original. Okay, now the way you can also do this is if you have poor eyesight, you can lean this up against your finger and then guide that needle down in there like so, and then just screw it on. Okay. Okay, that helps get the needle in there. We're not surgeons, and so sometimes we don't have steady hands enough to get that in there very well. Okay, so here you have it. Here is the card, and here's how you do faux sea glass, guys. Very, very super simple, very straightforward. You can do it as minimal or as maximal as you want. I would love to see this done in different ways. I mean, it would be great to do like a framed card using this technique. I think it would be really cool. You can also do this on scrapbook pages, you know, or on pages that you want to frame, like coming from spring break, which would be really cool as well. So I hope you give it a try. And my link is down below. It will give you my website and my Facebook page. And so you can go and look at other samples that I've done, or you can shop these products and purchase them there on my website, on my Stampin' Up website. I hope to see you in the next upcoming videos. I've got more to show you, and so stand by and look at all these other videos that I've got coming up. So I hope you have a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.